Live from the University of Alabama with special guests, feature stories, and a comprehensive look at Alabama's upcoming game. It's Crimson Tide Kickoff, brought to you by Alpha.
The Alabama Crimson Tide is 2-0. 2 wins over FSU's. Last week, Alabama took down Fresno State 41-10, out-rushing the Bulldogs by nearly 250 yards. It was a game of first. First start for former walk-ons Jamie Mosley and Levi Wallace. First appearance for true freshman Tua Tagovailoa. And the first career touchdown reception by junior tight end Hale Hinches. But it's not our first rodeo. Right here on Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Gary Harris. You come to us every Saturday on your television. We come to you here live from the University of Alabama campus. Tonight, the Crimson Tide host the Colorado State Rams of the Mountain West Conference. Kickoff for tonight's game is 6 o'clock, but we've got you covered from all over campus. Another home game, another chance to check the weather. We'll hear from Danielle Davis coming up in a moment, and Zach Tigert is standing by with the topic of the week. Despite being 2-0, quarterback Jalen Hurts continues to receive some criticism. Zach will have more on that. The criticism of Hurts is just one of the storylines surrounding the Tide heading into tonight's matchup. For some other nuggets, we go to Bama Headlines.
For the latest on the Crimson Tide, you don't need the newspaper. You need Bama Headlines.
Alabama's depth is being tested, but the injuries that hit the Tide opened up opportunities for others. Former walk-ons, true freshmen, and career backups are taking advantage of the chance the Crimson Tide coaching staff is giving them to play. Early on in the season, Alabama is showing it's more than just five-star talent and other guys pitching in. And tonight, Mike Bobo returns to Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Colorado State head coach is the former Georgia quarterback and assistant coach. He may now be part of the Mountain West, but he certainly knows SEC football. Plus, Jalen Hurts set a career record for rushing yards with 154 last week against Fresno, but the sophomore quarterback is still dealing with criticism. Some Alabama fans would like to see more of freshman Tua Tagovailoa. They want him to get more of an opportunity. But it's worth pointing out, Jalen Hurts is 15-1 as the Alabama starting quarterback. Not bad. Sometimes, though, it just seems that everybody wants a good quarterback controversy. Zach Tigert joins us now with more on how Hurts is handling the noise. Zach.
Gary, as you know, Jalen Hurts has done nothing but win while he's been at Alabama. First, he won the starting job. Then he started winning games. And now all that's left, really, is to win over the critics who say that his offensive approach leaves something to be desired. He's 15-1 as a starting quarterback and 1-0 in relief. He's a school record holder. His 954 rushing yards last season were the most by an Alabama quarterback since Stedham Shealy ran for 791 in 1979. He finished his freshman campaign 1 second shy of a national championship, the 2016 SEC Offensive Player of the Year, and a freshman All-American. Still, the criticism continues to mount. Hurts has only thrown for 412 yards through his last 4 games, but his teammates seem to think that criticism is overblown.
I do. I think, I think Jalen's been doing a really good job and doing what is asked of him. I think that, his expectations were set so high that, some of it's kind of unfair.
To me, he a great passer. To me, he do what he got to do. So, to me, when everybody say he not a good passer or he need to do more, he doing what he need to do.
And they aren't alone. Head coach Nick Saban says Jalen's offensive attack is the kind of balance the Crimson Tide needs.
Well, I think a lot of things that you do are overblown. But I realize why you do it. It's your job to create news. It's our job to try to help our guys play winning football. And, I think different players play winning football in different ways. So if you want to be critical of a guy for rushing for 154 yards and think he should not do that so he can pass more, then that's up to you.
So long as the sky is blue, Jalen Hurts will continue to be a threat on the ground. And he'll be cool, calm, and collected all the while. The criticism doesn't seem to affect the sophomore signal caller so long as he has Saban's support.
He has my back. And I'm happy to see that he's taking that route. And
As a leader of the team, I continue to lead, and I continue to win. You know, that's what we have to do. We have to win. Go with the mindset of trying to win, being 1-0 every week.
And earlier in the week, Jalen was asked point blank about the criticism. His response was, quote, "We won," unquote. So just keep the criticism coming because Jalen Hurts will continue to shrug it off. Gary?
Absolutely, Zach. Good report. Well, Hurts' rushing totals from last week were impressive, but the QB himself isn't the only one who deserves credit. Between the offensive line, the play caller, the running backs, and the wide receivers blocking downfield, there's a lot of good things that go into an explosive run game. Hurts was able to break his 55-yard touchdown run, and Najee Harris had a 25-yard run, thanks to a commitment from the receivers to play unselfishly. That commitment was installed in them by their coaches.
Like our week coach just tell us our running backs or quarterbacks go break, so we gotta have great perimeter blocking. So that is when you make that key block, is amazing because you know coach ain't finna hop on you for not blocking, and he'll be like, oh, if you made this block, he would have scored. So when you make that block and he scores, you know you ain't finna get fussed at or nothing.
And, of course, it wasn't only Hurts under center. True freshman Tua Tagovailoa from Hawaii made his collegiate debut in the second quarter against the Bulldogs. There was some good and some not so good in his performance. He took an unwise sack on his first possession, but later threw his first career touchdown pass to another true freshman, Henry Ruggs III from Montgomery. Overall, he was 6 of 9 for 64 yards and the touchdown pass and got his first taste of college football.
I think Tua is kind of like me in a way, where he tries to, he blocks everything out. He's kind of tunnel vision, and he's just ready to go. He's a competitor.
Coach Saban likes competitors, we know that, and he challenged his team this week to find the competition within. That brings us to Coach Talk, presented by Barkley Buick Cadillac GMC.
The one thing that, you know, if you're any player and you ask yourself, if I was a stock, is my stock gone up based on the way I played in the first 2 games, or is there things I need to work on to get better? And I think that hopefully most of the players would say, at this point, we need to be working to get better. And that's certainly how I feel as a coach and what I'd like to try to help our players do.
So we saw some new faces on the football field for Alabama, and this morning we get a new face here on Crimson Tide Kickoff. Making her CTKO debut is weather reporter Danielle Davis. Danielle, how are things looking for tonight's game?
Well, right now here on the Walk of Champions, it is a beautiful day. We have partly sunny skies, so not too hot, not too cold. That's what I love about evening games. It's later on in the afternoon, those temperatures get a chance to cool down. But right now, let's take a look at the radar for today. Right now, temperatures are at 82 here in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham at 80, and as you move into the afternoon, those are going to cool down before kickoff. Now on to what it's like currently here in Tuscaloosa. Highs for today again reaching the 80s. The future cast moving through 7 p.m. A few scattered showers starting throughout the day, but by 7 p.m. again, a few showers to our north here in Tuscaloosa. We are going to stay dry for most of that football game, so don't let that keep you from enjoying the game today. On to the next, moving through by later on this evening. Clouds moving into Tuscaloosa, but overall again, game time going to be clear. Next graphic we're looking at is our Bama versus Colorado State, 6 p.m., 82 degrees for your kickoff time with partly sunny skies. By halftime, you're looking at 77 degrees with those clouds starting to clear, and by the end of the game, 74 degrees. And hopefully, Gary, by that time, we will be celebrating a Crimson Tide victory.
That's the plan. Thank you, Danielle. Good to have you on the team. Well, stick around. CTKO is just getting started. Still to come, Jamie Mosley received his first career start last week. Hear about the conversation he had with older brother CJ of the Baltimore Ravens. Plus, while Jamie relies on his brother for advice, punter J.K. Scott turns to his sister. Find out why later on Crimson Tide Kickoff. We'll be right back with more live from the University of Alabama campus right here on WVUA 23.
You're watching Crimson Tide Kickoff on WVUA 23.
Here's the 3rd and 12 with 8 minutes to go. They look left, throw left, intercepted Alabama. Picked off by the Crimson Tide, and down the right side, it's going to be Anthony Everett taking it inside the 5 down to the 2-yard line. Anthony Everett with the interception, a very speedy athlete, picking one off, his first for the Crimson Tide.
Alabama's third interception of the season came courtesy of Anthony Averett, and it was a special one. The senior cornerback making his first interception in his Crimson Tide career. Well, welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha. Averett is in his second season as the starting cornerback, a position he played very little of in high school. He was mostly recruited as a quarterback and an athlete, but took the time to learn the position at Alabama, and now he is reaping the rewards.
You have to have some guys like Anthony Averett in the program who are willing to make the sacrifices to spend the time to develop so that they can become a really good player. And I think his example of that is, something that other players should look at.
Yeah, I came in as an athlete. I mean, I played a lot of offense in high school, so defense was kind of new to me when I first came in here. And I mean, I wanted to play corner, so I took the challenge, and it took me about 3 years to really learn it, like everything, just play it well. So I mean, it was challenging, but I mean, look now, everything came out, well. I'm doing well now.
Averett certainly took advantage of the opportunity given to him by the Alabama coaching staff. That's something that's common throughout this Crimson Tide program. Nick Saban has built depth in the program, and sometimes players see themselves buried on the depth chart. But Bethany Miller explains how some of the current players took advantage of their opportunities.
Thanks, Gary. Many players have waited years standing on the sidelines hoping for their moment on the field. But this season has proven to be the moment they've all been waiting for. Unique opportunities. An Alabama team with so much depth, it just keeps reloading.
I also think that some of the circumstances that the season has created so far has created some opportunities for some guys.
The circumstances are injuries to key players. The opportunities are other players finally getting their chance to play.
With football, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, one play, you think you're the third string, and then 2 plays later, you're out there playing, so you have to be ready.
One player who was ready, sophomore Matt Womack, who earned SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week following a standout performance against Fresno State.
I think he's, taken even this offseason and this camp a lot more seriously. I think he realized that, his time was here and he needed to take advantage of it.
Others, such as junior Jamie Mosley, have understood the unique situation at Alabama as he prepared for his opportunity for 3 years.
It wasn't tough at all. Any blessing comes with a burden. So, I mean, you know what you're getting into coming here. I was just ready for the opportunity I got.
Players such as Mosley, Womack, Levi Wallace, and many more are just now getting their moments on the field, but making the most out of the opportunities presented.
We're going to continue to work to try to improve the players and create roles for the guys that we have, but at the same time, we got to not ask players to do things they're not ready to do.
Ready. A key word for the Crimson Tide, and a word that quarterback Jalen Hurts passed on to true freshman Tua Tagovailoa and Mac Jones.
I told him, I said, anything can happen, so, just be ready to play. And, when your phone rings, if it rings at all, you got to answer.
The players' phones are ringing, and they intend to answer tonight against Colorado State. Reporting live outside the Walk of Champions for Crimson Tide Kickoff, I'm Bethany Miller.
Thank you, Bethany. And you heard Bethany mention Jamie Mosley. He made his first career start last week along with Levi Wallace. Now, both of those players are former walk-ons who earned scholarships. Mosley is, of course, the younger brother of former Bama great C.J. Mosley. And the older brother, now with the Baltimore Ravens, stays in regular contact with the younger brother.
I actually talked to him before the game. I talked to him before every game. He just always telling me just to do my job, control what I control, and just go out there and play ball. Been doing it all my life.
And nearly 2 weeks ago, wide receivers coach and co-offensive coordinator Mike Loxley lost his son Miko in a shooting in Maryland. Now, despite that, he remained with the team throughout the week, preparing the squad for Fresno State and acting like the same coach that the players have grown to admire.
He was the same self. He ain't let nobody see him down. He probably did it at home, but up here, he still was the same coach. But we knew, he was still sad, but he didn't let us see it. He was a strong coach.
And our thoughts and prayers still, of course, with the Loxley family. Well, still to come, a familiar face will be on the sideline, the opposite sideline of Alabama this evening. More on the Colorado State offensive coordinator, a former Bama lineman. That's next on CTKO.
Just a great environment, a lot of pageantry at a place like Alabama. You're talking about a team that's won, 16 national championships, have been successful for a long time. And the current run that they're on now is really, really impressive.
Really, really impressive. I couldn't said it any better myself. Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance. I'm Gary Harris, live on the campus of the University of Alabama. Colorado State head coach Mike Bobo has been on this campus several times. Bobo is a former Georgia player and assistant coach, spending almost 2 decades as a player or coach with the Dogs. Now he returns to Bryant-Denny Stadium with the Colorado State Rams. And while he's very familiar, obviously, with the Southeastern Conference, he knows it's hard to replicate what Alabama has in terms of personnel. In fact, with his guys at Colorado State, he says he just can't do it.
It's hard to replicate 6'7", 306, 6'2", 308, 6'4", 315, 6'4", 288. Sam linebackers and bucks that are 6'5", 250, and this is the third team guy, 6'5", 248. I mean, it's hard to replicate that size and that speed.
Well, if you're curious about how Bobo has fared against Alabama, mixed results. He was 0-2 as a player with losses in 1994 and 95. He didn't play in either of those games as a backup quarterback, however. As an assistant coach, he fared better. He was 2-0 as the Bulldogs quarterbacks coach in 02 and 03 when Georgia beat Dennis Franchione and Mike Shula back-to-back. And then he was promoted to offensive coordinator in 2007, and the Bulldogs won that game. He coached against the Tide 3 more times, winning that one and then losing the last 2 against Nick Saban. Well, one of the players on the Alabama roster when Bobo played at Bryant-Denny in 1994 was Will Friend. Friend is now the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach for the Rams. He was the offensive line coach with Bobo at Georgia for 4 seasons, from 2011 to 2014. Last year, Friend guided Colorado State to one of its most potent offenses in program history. Now, he wasn't there in 2013. That was the only other time Alabama and Colorado State have met on the football gridiron. Nearly 4 years ago, also at Bryant-Denny Stadium, the Crimson Tide defense stifled the Rams. Remember, the Rams were coached by Jim McElwain. And A.J. McCarron was 20 of 26 for 258 yards and a touchdown pass to DeAndre White. Bama won 31-6, although it was only 14-6 going to the fourth quarter. The Rams finished 8-6 that season. They are 26-16 since 2013. So the program is trending upward. The offense continues to play at a very high level, and the defense appears to be much improved in 2017. And even though CSU hails from the Mountain West Conference, they've built a difficult non-conference schedule this year. Alabama is the 3rd Power 5 program the Rams will face in their first 4 games. They beat Oregon State by 31 points 3 weeks ago, then lost by 2 scores to Colorado State 2 weeks ago. The Rams are coming off a 38-10 win over Abilene Christian, and this will be their first true road game of 2017.
Colorado State is, a really good football team. I think, Mike Bobo has done a really good job there. These guys play hard. They're physical. They're very aggressive in their style. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They've got a good quarterback. They got a lot of balance in what they do. They've scored a lot of points.
A lot of points indeed. Colorado State is 2-1 overall, averaging 33 points per contest. They run that up-tempo, no-huddle offense. They're going to try to pace you all game long. They're averaging over 500 yards of offense per game, with over 325 of that coming through the air. As I said, their defense has also improved. The Rams have forced 9 turnovers in 3 games. That's one of the best margins in the country. In other words, Nick Saban said the Tide could use a little help in this game from the 12th man.
They're going to try to go fast. They're going to try to go no huddle. I think noise could be disruptive to them. I'd like to see our fans, get into this game a little bit and, help our team out a little bit.
And Saban is also hoping for some help from some of the Tide's injured players. Josh Jacobs hasn't seen the football field this season, dealing with a nagging hamstring injury. And on Wednesday, Coach Saban said he's been practicing, although it's still uncertain whether or not he will play tonight. Same goes for Rashaan Evans and Anthony Jennings, the linebackers. Both players missed the Fresno State game, and both may have an opportunity to play tonight. The important thing is, Coach Saban said each linebacker is on track with his respective rehab process. Offensive lineman Lester Cotton should play today. He was dinged up, according to Saban, in last week's game against Fresno State. He sat out practice on Monday, but did practice the rest of the week. Although it should be noted, there was some shuffling on the right side of the offensive line. We'll keep up the shuffling here on Crimson Tide Kickoff. You better believe that. Coming up next, J.K. Scott is one of the top punters in the entire country, but he still takes advice from his sister. That's interesting. You'll hear why next on CTKO.
I used to make the specialists be like everybody else on the team, but I don't think they really are. I think they're training to do something a little bit different, something that they're going to have to do 4, 5, 6 times in a game.
And J.K. Scott does it as well as any punter in college football. The Crimson Tide's All-American special teamer is second on the UA all-time punting list, and he says part of his success comes from understanding the physics of how the football comes off the foot. Makes sense to me. Earlier this week, we asked him if he has had to study up on that science in order to improve his punting skills. Here's what he had to say.
I don't need to understand that as a punter, but my sister, she's really smart. Me and her talk. She went and she did biomedical engineering was her major, and it's like she knows a lot. So me and her have had conversations.
Where did she go?
She went to Harvard.
So that's how J.K. Scott gets his advantage, from his biomedical engineering sister who graduated from Harvard. Well, we don't have a biomedical engineer on our staff, but we do have CTKO's Brandon Cameraman. Brandon, you'll have to do. He's got more on one of the most important stats for Alabama's football success.
You're right, Gary. I'm not a scientist like J.K. Scott's sister, but I do understand a little bit of some basic math. And one mathematical equation that seems to be pretty consistent is you win the turnover battle, you win the football game. Alabama's 2-0 on the season, 2-0 in turnover margin. That was stressed to the team this offseason, as it is every year. And so far, Bama hasn't turned the ball over on offense. They've forced 4 turnovers on defense. Well, that has Coach Saban pleased, as although he's not a scientist, he understands football pretty well.
Turnover margin, turnover ratio, whatever you want to call it, is one of the most significant statistics in winning and losing. And hopefully we can continue to do a good job of taking care of the ball.
And that brings us to our Crimson Tide Kickoff social media poll of the week. We asked what will be the turnover margin in tonight's game. So far, Colorado State is winning their turnover margin 9-8 through 3 games. Again, Alabama leading opponents 4-0, also leading in our poll. Nearly 7 of 10 voters say Alabama wins the turnover margin by 1 or 2, while 28% have Alabama winning by 3, plus a scant 3% say it's an even margin, and poor CSU, no one thinks the Rams will win the turnover margin. Well, let's keep it with the fans and go to this week's Ultimate Fan Cave of the Week. We head to Oxford, where Robert and Johnny Sue Stillwell show us that a fan cave is about more than just a collection of stuff. It's about relationships.
We laughed. We said, well, guess we'll have them from the baseboard to the crown molding with the pictures, because I'm running out of places to put them. But I love to collect. We use all of our time and energy now for football season. And we're so sad when it's over. You know, we're worn out when January comes, you know, when it's all over. I enjoy it. You know, there's nothing, everything I get signed and do, I do for me and my husband, or I do it for the grandchildren. All the players that's in the picture, I want them to sign it. I like to get the autograph because I like to meet the player. I like to know them. I've got players now that come back that remember me when they were playing ball. I like to see them and wish them good luck for the season, and I always tell them my name. I tell them I'm Johnny Sue, and I said I'll be there for every game. I wish you the best.
Don't go anywhere. Crimson Tide Kickoff returns with our first guest of the morning. University of Alabama President Dr. Stuart Bell joins Gary live on set. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. I'm Shelby Ballantyne with your Pepsi fan cam. I'm here with Kevin. And Kevin, tell me, where are you from?
Shelby, I'm actually from Tuscaloosa, born and raised, and 100% Alabama fan.
All right, what do y'all plan on doing until the later kickoff game tonight?
Well, we'll be watching the games that are on before Alabama, and then, of course, we'll also be doing some cooking, hamburgers, hot dogs, sausages, things like that, just for everybody that comes by.
All right, sounds like a lot of fun. Y'all planning on watching the game here or going into Bryant-Denny?
Oh, always watch it here. It seems like we have more fun watching it here because we can do what we want to do.
Well, that sounds super exciting. Can I get a big Roll Tide?
Roll Tide, roll!
Roll Tide, thank you.
Thank you, Shelby, our Pepsi fan cam. I guarantee you that this gentleman is one of the biggest fans of the University of Alabama. Dr. Stuart Bell, University of Alabama president, joins us here on CTKO. Thank you so much, Dr. Bell.
Well, thank you guys for inviting me to come over.
Well, let's start with football because this is a football show. And the visibility of this program, what Nick Saban has built here with 4 national championships, 5 SEC titles, all coming in his 10 seasons, into his 11th season now. I know football is a sport, but the direct impact that it has on the university in terms of recruiting, in terms of exposure, it's huge, isn't it?
It really is, and it's so important in terms of a national, but really even an international exposure.
Right.
You know, it's like having a great front porch on your house, and it just invites people to come in and take a closer look. And what I can tell you is that when the parents and the students come on campus to really take that closer look, they find this is a place that they want to study, this is a place they want to make their home, and it's had a great impact.
I know when I got here, I think enrollment was about 25,000. Now it's close to 40, and I am guessing that football has played a big part in the increased enrollment as well.
Well, you're right, and as we talked on the last question, it absolutely has had an impact. And if you think just in 2006, 10 years ago, our total applications from new students who wanted to find themselves at the University of Alabama was about 15,000 students. This last year, that same number was 43,000 applications from new students. So again, almost a 3 times over.
Yeah, and almost at 40,000 students, this campus continues to grow. The infrastructure is trying to keep up. As the university president, is there a cap, though, on the enrollment as far as how high you would like to go?
Well, you're right. I mean, we've been growing substantially, but I think even more than the numbers, we've been growing the quality, and really that's our target.
Absolutely.
I think as long as we're able to continue to attract those great students to the university, that's really what we're focused on. Now, we do have a greater focus also as we're growing the undergraduate numbers. We're also looking to grow the graduate numbers, and that'll be important to us in terms of underpinning what we're trying to grow in terms of our research, our scholarship, our performance activities at the university.
Yeah, but you mentioned something. Not only is enrollment up, the number of scholars, the GPA, all of that has gone up substantially in the last few years. I know you're proud of that.
Absolutely, we are. You know, this year if you look at GPAs, if you look at number of national merit students, all those just across the board are record numbers for us. So again, the quality is something really important to the University of Alabama.
I know as the University of Alabama grows, so does West Alabama, so does Tuscaloosa, really so does the entire state. The impact that this university is having on the state of Alabama, but specifically Tuscaloosa and West Alabama, is amazing. I know you work with the Chamber of Commerce, you work with civic leaders, not just to grow UA, but to grow this community as well.
Yeah, in really just 2 words, the University of Alabama has great impact on this area. If you take a look at our impact in terms of dollars, economic growth, we're about $1.9 billion just in the Tuscaloosa region area, about 12,000 jobs. And then if you expand that statewide, we're about $2.6 billion with over 13,000 jobs. And again, if you look at just these home games that we're having right now, about $175 million for the home games that we have. You know, if you go back, though, and look at those 43,000 applications that I talked about, think about those applications and the impact that they have on the state of Alabama. Those are 43,000 of the best and brightest young people across the U.S., and many of those choose to have Alabama to be their home and to make that their home. And I think that's the greatest intellectual, if you will, impact that we have as a university.
Working here and living here, it's easy for me to take it for granted the beauty of this campus, from the President's Mansion just right down the street here on University to all these beautiful buildings, the trees, the quad. But with so many out-of-state students coming in and enrolling here at UA, I hear it from them. Man, this place was beautiful. When we visited, we came down from Pennsylvania, we came down from the Pacific Northwest, and we just were blown away by the beauty of the campus. I know that is something that you love to hear.
We do, and of course this is Parents Weekend, so we have parents from really all over the country who are here to enjoy our campus, enjoy this weekend. And yesterday my wife Susan and I opened up our home for an open house, and I can tell you I heard it many times yesterday, but every week over and over again. You're right, we hear it's a beautiful campus.
Well, it was great to have you today. Great to talk about this incredible university and what you got going on.
Thank you
Dr.
very
Bell.
much. Appreciate you guys.
And the guests will just keep on rolling here on CTKO. Coming up, former Alabama great and national championship winning head coach Danny Ford will join us here. Stay tuned. Crimson Tide Kickoff presented by Alpha will return right after this timeout.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. I'm Zach Tiger. Let's take a trip around the SEC. One game already in action as Texas A&M is at home for ULL. Then coming up in a few hours, it's a battle for the East. Tennessee, the Volunteers at the Florida Gators. Half hour after that, Auburn will host Mercer, and Missouri will take on Purdue. Another SEC matchup will kick off at 6. LSU is in Starkville to take on Mississippi State. That's going to be a good matchup. It's Bulldogs versus Bulldogs in Athens as Georgia welcomes in Samford. Then another East Divisional battle between Kentucky and South Carolina in Columbia. Vanderbilt gets its Alabama warm-up. Commodores take on the number 18 Kansas State Wildcats. And then a little Pac-12 after dark. Cal hosts Ole Miss at 9:30 Central Time. That's your trip around the SEC. Gary, let's take a trip up to you.
Thank you so much, Zach, and it's my pleasure to be joined by the pride of Gadsden, Alabama. Former Crimson Tide offensive lineman Danny Ford is with us, Coach.
Thanks.
So good to have you.
Thanks, Gary. Glad to be here.
We were just discussing during the break, you hadn't been back on campus in a while, so you're like everybody else when they come back after a long layoff. You're blown away by what you're seeing.
96 or 95 is the last time I've been here.
Yeah.
And we landed at the airport, and when I was at Arkansas and flew and took a bus over here and came to highway patrol into the stadium, that's all I saw. So all this part, I still remember the old wooden PE building over there that ain't there anymore. And somebody told me the campus went all the way to the river, and I said, it can't go that far. And now, well, Tommy Ford carried us back after breakfast this morning. We rode all the way around it. And I had a story in about half the houses, or not the houses, but the buildings that I had a class in. I remember them, but damn it, one or two of them still up.
Yeah.
You know, that's 1966, 7, 8, and 9. So.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I think when you were here in the mid to late 60s, right around 15,000 students, now about 40. So that gives you some
I heard
idea.
It was 38, and I guess we had 12 to 14, and right here at the old soup store was the center of it all.
Yeah.
And we would eat it at Bryant Hall and come by to go to practice and ride with Jerry Duncan and Wayne Trimble and all them and turn left right here. And you had to go by Sorority Road before you went to practice where it make you have a good day.
Hey, we got to get, as we look at some footage here, we got to get into this Clemson-Alabama connection.
Yeah.
Whenever Clemson wants to get them a winning head coach, they come to Alabama. Frank Howard, Hootie Ingram, Charlie Pell, you, and now Dabo Swinney. You had been the only coach to win a national title at Clemson in 1981 until last year when Dabo did it. I know you've got allegiances to both Alabama and Clemson. That had to be a interesting matchup for you last year, the last 2 years, really, watching that game.
You know, it was, and I'm glad they split in a way, because I hope they play again and then find out who the best football team is. But I got in a little trouble up there because I said, I didn't go to the game. I wanted to watch it by myself. I went in my little TV room out back of the house and cooked me some food and sat there and watched it by myself. And I didn't care who won. And, boy, the Clemson people got mad at me, you know. And I said, well, everything I have accomplished or have gotten, I gotten it through Alabama.
Right.
From Coach Bryant, scholarship, the University of Alabama, people in Alabama. So you can't forget home. And then they said, well, if you like it that much, go back. And I said, no, I don't think I like.
Because South Carolina is home now for you.
I like my farm in South Carolina pretty good, and they bought me my farm up there, so I think I'll stay up there a little bit.
You still get on that tractor every day?
Well, we baling hay. You can look at my hands, and I got barbed wire all beat up. But, yeah, really, Coach Howard started it. Coach Neely hired him.
Right.
And Coach Howard was there for over 44 years. And then they hired Hootie Ingram, and that was a tough act to follow with Coach Howard. Hootie didn't have a chance, but Hootie made history because he got the Tiger Paw
That's
started.
right.
He was the guy that was responsible for the number one thing about Clemson. If you go anywhere, you see the Tiger Paw. So he made that happen. And then Coach Pell came and turned the program around through Red Parker's players. And I was offensive line coach, I know. And Red Parker was from Arkansas, from Fordyce, same place as Coach Bryant. And he recruited great players, and we inherited. and Coach Pale went 10-1, and then 9-2, and then went to Florida, and I got the job. So I stayed there 13 years, counting assistant, and then we had 2 or 3 guys come in, and Coach Bowden been one, Tommy West been one, and Ken Hatfield, and they all had their share of good moments and tough moments. And then they hired Dabo Sweeney from Alabama, Birmingham, done a tremendous job. I mean, he and not only that, he said he was going to do a good job.
Yeah, he did.
He said
he called his shot.
He said the best is yet to come, and I said, "Good gosh, I don't want to hear that. He's going to break every record I got."
That's what I was thinking. 1981, Coach Ford, still the youngest coach at 33 to ever win a national title.
Yeah.
When you look at what Coach Sweeney has built, his Alabama background, playing under Coach Stallings, and I think, too, watching what Nick Saban, it looks like Clemson's program, to me, is modeled a little bit after the one here at Alabama. And I say that with respect, because why wouldn't you model it after what Nick Saban's done here?
Well, you know, Tuscaloosa's changed so much I didn't recognize when I came in. I used to live in Northern, no hospital. It ain't there now. And all the buildings and the poor place when the tornado came through and had to rebuild some stuff. I couldn't believe this was Tuscaloosa that I knew it. We're in no way shaped the size town in this or the university. We're like 22,000 kids. And but facility-wise,
yeah, they're super.
As good as Alabama. Stadium not as large, but close. And everything from, I remember Coach Stallings when I was at Arkansas coming to Arkansas and play. They always went first class. Coach Bryant went first class. That was his, you play hard, you go first class, you win, and you win with class. So anyway, that's what he's done there at Clemson. He's trying to go first class in everything they do. And Clemson's gone through the thing of winning and then going down. And now they're winning again. They won't stay there. They're spending the money. Those little farmers having not pay their soybean bill and corn bill for a year, but they gonna put the money in athletics, and we're gonna have full crowd. And it'll be a heck of a game tonight when they play Louisville. And I want to see one of your boxes, because Auburn copied Clemson's boxes when Pat Dye was there. He came up there and took Clemson's name off one of the boxes and put Auburn up there to sell them, pre-sell them, and they were the same colors. So I hope you got a TV in there where I can watch Alabama and Clemson tonight.
They will. We got to go, but will Alabama and Clemson meet for the 3rd straight year, you think, in the national championship game?
Always a possibility.
Always
it's close.
a possibility. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
And the guests will keep on rolling. When we come back, Alabama men's tennis coach George Husack will join us to talk about the Tide tennis program. It's on the rise. We'll have it for you next here on CTKO. The Alabama men's tennis team is ready to get its fall season underway. Beginning next Friday, the Crimson Tide welcomes in 8 other programs for the Crimson Tide 4 in the fall tournament right here in Tuscaloosa. The Tide has a busy schedule for the next several months before beginning its main stretch in January. To talk more about the tennis program is the head coach of the Crimson Tide. When we want to talk tennis, we go to the man at the top. George Husack is with us. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much for having me. I feel like I should have been on the undercard here for Dr. Bell and Coach Ford, and here I am finishing up the show.
Well, we had to have the headliner to finish, man. Couldn't just anybody follow those guys.
A headline worth finished last in the conference last year. We're going to be a little bit different this year.
But that's what I'm saying. You've got the program headed in the direction that you want it, and you feel really good about this team you've got right now.
Absolutely. We did go through a rebuilding. Really started with last year we had 4 freshmen and 2 sophomores in the lineup. This year we've got 4 sophomores, 2 freshmen. We'll have 4 freshmen and then a junior. So our top player is a junior. He's away this semester playing professionally, and he'll return in January. We have 2 freshmen and then 2 more coming in January.
It's all about talent, and you've got to go. Alabama is a great state, but it's not renowned for tennis talent. You've got to recruit nationally and in some cases internationally to build the kind of program you want to build.
We do. We started nationally when I was first here. We started here in the South and different parts of the states. We also moved across the seas. Now we're pretty heavy on the international front.
Right.
But really we're outside of, there's talent everywhere. I think what it comes down to is what's under the shirt here, the character, the heartbeat, and I love our program. The first 3 weeks of our individual workouts this fall have been the best since I've been here in 5 years, and so excited for the season.
I love to ask coaches from other sports this. When you're here on a football Saturday, whether it's for recruits or just people that want to visit and learn more about the program, this is a remarkable setting, and it really helps all the other programs when people are around here on a football Saturday.
It really is. I mean, we've always feel like if we get them on campus, we've got a great opportunity. Knock on wood. We've been 100% with people coming to campus the last 12 months, but it's really outstanding. The atmosphere and the weather, despite a little humidity today, is unbelievable.
Much like Coach Saban, it's been a process for you. When you got here, you knew it would be. You're building a program. You're trying not to just flash and have a good team here and there. How close are you? Like you said last year, maybe a step back, but how close are you to becoming among the elite in the Southeastern Conference? Is that something within your grasp?
I think it is. I mean, I'm here for that reason. My assistant coach, Robbie Weiss, we're the same age, a lot of experience in tennis, and we didn't come here to be average, below average. And so last year, regardless where we finished, we had great strides, and I feel like we can compete for a title. We've got the right animals, horses, big men in the stables now, and we're getting more. The traction's there. This place is unbelievable. We're going to be there. Hopefully, we're hosting SEC championships next April, and I want to be right there. So it is a process. Even after 23 years of coaching, I'm learning every month. So
thank you, Coach.
You got it. Thank you.
More CTKO right after this.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. I'm Danielle Davis here for a final check at your game forecast. So let's take a look at those graphics right now. 6 p.m. kickoff time versus Colorado State. 82 degrees at your start time with partly sunny skies, and as you move throughout the game, day is going to turn into night and those temperatures are going to cool down very nicely. End of the game, 74 degrees with mostly clear skies, so that'll be some great weather to drive back home in. Isn't that right, Gary?
Absolutely, Danielle. Thank you for that great forecast. And no, we did not forget one of our favorite segments. Here's Kickin' Cook-Off, Kickoff Cooking. Easy for me to say. I tell you what, you cook and then you kick off and you enjoy the food during the game. John Copeland and Debbie Sanford are here, presented each and every week by Sanford Restaurant Equipment and Ziegler Meats.
Welcome back to Kickoff Cooking. Debbie, what are we doing today?
Well, we've got our Sapphire Grill Hunt where we've been cooking some hamburgers and some Ziegler's hot dogs.
Yes.
And while the grill is hot, I thought I'd make you a surprise dessert.
Well, let's go. I love dessert, as you can tell.
Well, we're going to grill some fruit.
Do what?
We're going to grill some fruit.
You got me on that, Debbie.
We're going to grill some plums and nectarines, bananas, pineapples, and watermelon.
What?
You've never had that?
No. I'm from the country, and I've pretty much eaten everything, but never grilled fruit.
So let's cut this fruit up and get it on the grill and get you on the road to having your first grilled
let's
fruit.
try it. I'm willing to try anything you're cooking.
Just going to cut our fruits in half. And I'm also going to do a banana. It's blowing your mind, isn't it?
It is. I've never heard of it.
Let's just sprinkle a little sugar on these. And I'm going to let you put the pineapple.
So are we putting sugar on this too, or no sugar on that?
Let's put no sugar on that.
Okay,
Let's
that
save the
works for
honey
me.
for that.
That's fine. It works
All right,
for me.
I'm going to open our Sapphire Grill.
And that thing is awesome, by the way.
I know, I love the Sapphire Grill. We are the rep in our area at Sanford. We sell the Sapphire Grills. You can do just about anything you can think of on them. We're doing fruit. You just come on in with that watermelon.
Okay.
Gonna put this on.
Now, about how long does it take to get this?
Not long at all. We're gonna close that lid.
Okay.
Ready to see what we got?
Let's see what it is. I can't wait.
Let's try it. Wow.
That looks good.
That looks great. Let's just drizzle it with a little honey. And like I said, there's lots of different ways to do this. You can put it on ice cream, drizzle it with honey, a little balsamic vinaigrette, maybe make a salad with it. And for the banana, he gets the special chocolate sauce. Now, that's a pretty fancy plate.
I like the way it looks. Now, let's see what it tastes like.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Grilled watermelon.
I told you would like it.
Wow, you did it again.
Good job.
Grilled watermelon. It's pretty doggone good.
You'll love it. Try it. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Now I'm hungry. Again, it's time for some wild predictions. First, let's start it off with Brandon Cameraman.
All right, Gary, bear with me here for a second. This is going to seem like an anti-Alabama prediction, but I don't mean it that way. I think Colorado State is good. I think they're going to be ready, and I think they're going to hold it close at least for a while. I think that the prediction is that the Rams will be within 2 scores at halftime. Alabama's favored by 4 touchdowns. Now, I do see the Tide rolling in the second half, winning 38-13. But yes, halftime, I think it will be close. Zach, you got something that will satisfy Bama fans a little more than I do? Let's head over to you.
That's right, Brandon, although I do agree with you that this game will be a lot closer at halftime than some people think. My wild prediction for the day, though, I think the difference this evening will be the guy that everyone seems to be criticizing. My wild prediction is that quarterback Jalen Hurts will pass for over 300 yards, and he'll respond to the critics with a big game this evening. What about you, Gary? What's your prediction?
I'm going with the Bama defense. They've held 2 straight opponents under 300 yards. This team averages more than 500 yards a game, but the Bama D will stand up and hold CSU to under 300 total yards. Wow, we're out of time. That's it for CTKO. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game, everybody, and roll Tide.